Please, 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 I can't breathe.
We start with developing news from the United States. It's in relation to the death of the unarmed black man, George Floyd.
The murder of George Floyd.
I can't breathe.
Now, the former officer we witnessed with his knee on George Floyd's neck.
13 days after the killing of George Floyd.
Plus d'une semaine après la mort par asphyxie de George Floyd.
The killing of an unarmed black man, George Floyd, while he was being restrained by police.
Please, man. I'm not going to shoot you. Step on, face away.
I'm going to get out of here, man.
Into the death that set off protests around the world.
Tens of thousands of people have demonstrated in an eighth night in cities across the US.
Our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals, rioters.
We don't have time to rest. What do we want? What do we want?
New York's finest have been hit in the face with bricks.
President Trump has been criticised by some for telling state governors to take a much tougher line with the protesters.
These are acts of domestic terror.
As demonstrators turn to racial injustice in their own communities.
Now, these are scenes not of an American city, but of Montreal.
We can ensure that Ireland is an anti-racist country.
From America across the world to New Zealand, to Rome, to Nairobi, and now here in London.
Great Britain would not be great without the contribution of migrant communities. Great Britain would not have what it has now without the pillaging and the raping and the killing of so many nations.
These aspects of racism that would have happened inside a building or in a police cell, these are now coming out in the public sphere. And the denial of racism at the institutional and systemic level, that can't be denied anymore because we all saw the murder of George Floyd live.
If anything, the policies in this country have got more racist.
Derogatory and divisive remarks about our appearance.
The statue of Winston Churchill, who is a national hero, has had to be boarded up for fear of violent attack.
We just came out and we're still within the last part of a pandemic, but racism has been an endemic pandemic for all of black people's lives.
Does the Home Secretary recognise that there's structural inequality, discrimination and racism in our country?
We're still trying to do the same evidence and the same proving that racism exists at a systemic level.
Because most of us are here through oppression.
We should look sometimes at the positive stuff.
Because if we stop moving, if we stop speaking and protesting and talking, nothing will change, and we need change now more than ever.
Racism has a way of giving you trauma. And we need to talk about racial trauma.
So rather than hide behind sham and whitewash investigations, when will the Prime Minister finally apologise for his derogatory and racist remarks?
And in the inner cities, where youngsters must have a decent education if they are to have a better future, that opportunity is all too often snatched from them by hard left education authorities and extremist teachers. And children who need to be able to count and multiply are learning anti-racist mathematics, whatever that may be.
Was there a moment when you realised that your skin colour not only was going to affect you in your social life, but in your career? Did you realise that you were going to have to work harder?
Well, my parents always said to me, and this is the way I think a lot of the our generation were brought up that you had to be 3 times better than the average English or white person. So that was instilled in me at a very early age, that you had to be better. Anything you did, you had to be twice as good, 3 times as good.
In my experience, I've found that I've had to work really, quite hard, doubly as hard. But one of the things my mother used to be really scared of is us going out beyond the sort of the confines, for want of a better word, of where we lived, because she was afraid of us being picked up by the police or being beaten up, for instance. So, and that sort of stayed with me today, because I felt that venturing out beyond, into Abingdon or areas like that, I felt quite exposed. So yeah, I think definitely there's been an element of lack of confidence through being black.
Growing up, I was like the only black girl like in my school, like in primary school and secondary school. You're like in competition, but you don't really understand why, and like people are intimidated by you, but you don't really understand why. And it's just like, I'm really approachable. I'm literally 5'2". Like, what is about me that is really so intimidating? Do you know what I mean?
What I found as a young lad, I was being stopped frequently. The police would be quite abusive, hoping that you react. And believe it or not, the police would call you names, the same racist names. Like, you wog, you nigger, I'll chuck you in the back of the van, I'll give you a kick, things like that.
Is he resisting?
Yes, you are. Where's this guy's on?
Everything that they're picking on is like literally like because you're black. Do you know what I mean? Like, this guy that I don't even really know tried to fight me on a night out when I was like 18. He's like 3 years older than us. He literally he called me a fat black bitch. Tried to actually try and hit me. Then 2 years later he punched me in the face. Do you know what I mean? So all of those situations kind of escalating. And it's quite worrying.
At the birth of my first son, or after the birth, I went out, been out on a night out to celebrate, to wet the baby's head, and coming back, I was, a little bit worse for wear, but I was going home, and I was attacked, set upon by 4 or 5 white people and beaten up. So that has stayed with me for most of my life. So yeah. So I've sort of tried to blend in, not forgetting my identity, but also in order to make things a lot easier. So sometimes I don't even go out, or I'll catch a taxi back rather than walking home. So.
Do you feel safe going to the police in an incident like that? Do you feel like you can pick up the phone? It doesn't even cross my mind, because what are they actually going to do? I've had incidences with the police before, obviously, and they just don't care. And I think once you kind of hit that point, it's very hard to kind of be like how do you escalate the situation? Do you know what I mean? I've never really thought about it like that, but I just wouldn't go to the police for anything, especially now.
No, I didn't. I just felt that I felt you got more of a response from when we were burgled than I ever had with the police. So I'm not as confident in that, and also it's just been proven there's an issue about systemic racism in the police force, isn't there? In the Met in particular.
I joined the Met Police Force in 1992. And one of the reasons I joined was not necessarily because I had it in mind to become a police officer. It's because I wanted a challenge. And my experiences of the police from a young lad is sort of something that drove me into, because I thought, what's the biggest challenge? As a black person, I thought, there it is. We talk about institutional racism, okay? It's in the police. I can tell you that. I was there. if the police really want to be serious about eradicating the racism and the behaviour of their officers, they have to introduce proper disciplinary procedures, because the disciplinary procedures at the moment it's not adequate for the type of responsibilities that police officers have.
I don't think there's a section of this country that is not exposed to some sort of prejudice, and even with misogyny against black women is different anyway, so that's always going to be a thing. There's always an umbrella and things underneath it, so I genuinely don't think there is a section of the UK that is not infiltrated by racism somehow.
England lays claim to the fact that it helped abolish slavery, so it was backed it, but it did, it profited from slavery. So it's in a sense the system is designed, or appears to be designed, around slavery, and that to me hasn't changed. But I'm not an authority on it. But when I hear somebody like Boris Johnson, who's comes from the elite, making comments that he has made and refusing to acknowledge, he's quite flippant and dismissive. That does make me it makes me frustrated and quite sad, because we were invited over here. My parents came over, or my grandparents came over on the to help this country, not forcibly. We were asked to come over, or enticed.
I literally don't think anything's going to change until this country overthrows the government, and I'm being so serious. You can't vote your way out of this, and that goes for literally anything, because we don't really have a choice. There's no lesser of two evils. It's literally just two. It's just evil. Do you know what I mean? I've never felt safe with the Conservatives, and I think that the Conservative Party, they personify the establishment, and the establishment is linked to royalty, the royal family. This country was built, and how this country has been built on in terms of from slavery and everything. So I think the Conservatives represent that. I commend the people that are doing this work every day and trying to get justice for those people, do you get what I mean? Because in a country of 66 million, realistically, stuff like this shouldn't be happening, but because it's seen in such a small scale, compared to America, it doesn't get the attention it deserves, I think. I do believe that being black and British is a problem, because if you look around us, to be black and British, it's all well and good if you're representing the country. So look at sports people, for instance. If you're Raheem Sterling, sprinters, athletes, and so on. That the British, as long as they're doing something and contributing visually, I think, but then there's the other element of being black and British is the crime associated with being black and British. And how that sort of is stigmatized. So, and there's also a confidence issue as well, and that could be in the in the workplace, how you see yourself, how others view you.
I think for me, although I'd say black British, I can't say I'm proud because of the acceptance within the society for being, calling yourself black and British. You're not really accepted as British. I could never really feel comfortable with calling myself black British, and it's mainly because of the systemic racism which exists within the society here. I don't think you could confidently say that you are accepted as black British even if you call yourself that.
All my life been a black sheep. All my life been a black keys. True, I never really was a bad breed. Daddy probably rather me an athlete. Man, that nigga move like a taxi. All my life in the backseat. You talk about life, is it that sweet? All these eyes staring at me. I've been feeling real low, nigga, low key. How a brave heart feeling so weak. Tattoos on my passport, no sleep. This is what you asked for, don't weep. Don't whinge, man, I'm here and I won't leave. All I wanna do, make songs, blow trees. Wouldn't be honest with myself if I don't speak. So I make the point to address it, man, you know me. Got me believing in Buddha, the more I proceed. Oh, this life isn't guaranteed. All my life felt a cold breeze in and out, but staying up and never down. You hearing me now? Give me some time and a little space, I'll figure it out. They wanna know my whereabouts and who I'm around. Been in one and half a time trying to find a way out. You can hear it in my rhymes, I'll be thinking aloud. I'ma be ghost for a minute. Don't get in your feelings, I ain't even wrote for a minute. Not a single lyric, man, I got a life that is crazy, most cannot live it. See, I'm trying to sabotage me. Got me fucking living all my life in the black sheep. All my life in the black keys. True, I never really was a bad breed. Daddy probably rather me an athlete. Man, that nigga move like a taxi. All my life in the backseat.